What's going on, Steelers Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Texas Steel Podcast. I'm Pierce Trexler, joined always by my boy. Come on, Brick Hands. Come on, Brick Hands. Deontay Stonehands Johnson. What it do? Drake Greenstein in the building. Here to recap a week.
Ooh.
What was it? Week 10? Week 11? I'm losing track.
We're 8-2.
8-2, but we had to buy Week 11 victory over the Baltimore Ravens. Man, oh man, does it feel good to get into this AFC North matchup. Come out of here with a W. I'll tell you what player didn't do a damn thing, and it's that man right there.
What can I say, man? Hey, we called a pretty damn good
that was
prediction.
pretty close.
What, 23-20, 24-23?
Mm-hmm. We knew it wouldn't be a crazy
Deontay
shootout
was getting the
like
boo
some.
birds, bro. He was getting the boo birds.
Rightfully deserved. Unfortunately, I mean, obviously, we liked DJ when he was here. Some of the antics obviously outweighed some of his production. That's why we had to inevitably ship him out of town. But, man, just coming off in here, like I said to start this thing, AFC North dub just feels extremely good. Taking a 2-game lead in the division and slowly creeping up the way in the AFC rankings as well. I mean, literally a win out from the top number 1 seed of the Kansas City Chiefs. And, I mean, you kind of look at the two schedules ahead from the both teams ahead of us, the Bills and the Chiefs. None of them are really cakewalks. I'd say we have one of the more favorable matchups.
The Ravens destroyed the Bills this year.
Oh, yeah. And to also look, I mean, the Bills have some tricky games. We can get down in there, but let's just go ahead and start with a quick recap of this game, man. I mean, fireworks, not the prettiest of outcomes that we wanted. Best thing we can do to kick things off is give our graces and praise to Money Boswell, man. Absolutely came through.
Seriously.
Felt very reminiscent of the Week 1 game in Atlanta, obviously. 6 field goals, but he went 6 for 6.
Yep.
He's the best kicker in the NFL. Dare we say it? Justin Tucker's washed.
I mean, I mean, it's obvious at this point. You see, he's in his head, bro. After every single miss, then he had the audacity to say that the grass wasn't ideal, and I was like,
make an excuse left, right, and center.
Bro. Get out of here,
I mean,
bro.
Boz was hitting from 50 plus, I think 2 or 3 separate times on that. But I guess we're kind of all over this place for this intro. Vibes are just up this week.
Yep.
But where do you want to dive in first, man?
I mean, really, what is there to say other than that was Steelers-Ravens, Pierce? That was
completely.
Steelers-Ravens. I mean, I love the scuffles. Every other play was great.
Yeah. And, I mean, talk about Flag City, though, man. There were so many penalties on both sides of the ball. Both teams getting their fair share of penalties called. But, I mean, this is what it's going to be. Teams are going to get chippy. We're going to be wanting it more than they did. And obviously we did with us resulting in the W. But
I got 2 shout-outs, though.
Run it.
2 shout-outs. First one, Patrick freaking Queen, bro.
Talk about a revenge game.
I mean, talk about everything I mean, I was pretty pissed that we played a conservative on that punt before half.
Oh, yeah.
And then what does Patrick Queen come and do, man? Literally just give me that ball, bro. Absolutely just freaking took the ball from Isaiah Likely.
And fell on it. Got the recovery himself,
yes, bro.
too.
My second big shout-out, how about the Rook? The rookie, Peyton Wilson,
When have you ever seen an interception like that? I've never. Guy was facing away from the ball and just so happened to, at the last second, be able to get his hand in there and rip it out. I mean, and talk about a timely turnover. That was in the point where I think we had gone for it on 4th down or something of the sort.
It was like 15-10.
Didn't get it, but they were continuing with possession, going and like maybe stirring up some buzz. They were obviously generating a decent little bit on that drive, and I mean, obviously, if they would have gone down there, put up another points, we probably wouldn't have the giddy excitement that we did. So talk about a timely turnover. I mean, I think we can continue to beat the nail on the head. We own Lamar Jackson. He's done nothing ever in his performances against us to show any signs of fight. I mean, I got his total stats, I think, on the mental. He finished with 214 through the air. Had the pick, obviously, that was super timely by the defense.
Is he 1-5?
1-4 now.
1-4
now. Had obviously
still more interceptions and touchdowns.
I think he went. His final stat line was like 16 for 33 or something like that. So well under that 50% margin. But I mean, he was looking.
We own Lamar and we own Baltimore. I mean, let's just call it
the
how
past
it is.
9 matchups were 8 for 9 out of those. So I mean, if you want to talk about dominance or a rivalry, I mean, it's kind of tough to call it a rivalry when we've been spanking them in and out each season.
They little bro now. They've been little bro.
So obviously, I want to circle back to Pat Queen just because got his stats off the top of the head. He had 10 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, a fumble, and a fumble recovery.
Yep.
I mean, this guy was just flying. You talk about the revenge game and just exactly when we need it to. The thing, I'm just going to keep going. I know we're all over the place. I'm sorry, y'all. But one thing that I just have to continuously give praise. I know Steelers Nation, this wasn't the gaudy performance we were wanting, but as you stated starting this pod, it was Steelers Ravens football, AFC North, hard hitting, defenses getting it done. Offense is going to be a little lackadaisical at times, but I'm just so relieved to see over the past, I'd say, 3 games of Russell Wilson starting, that is, against the Jets, the Giants, and the Commanders. Obviously, our defense was looking a little kind of pulled apart, especially in the early part of the Jets game. In the Commanders, they gave up some big chunks, but we were relying on the offense to get it done. And obviously, Russell Wilson was pushing the needle. Our offense was keeping drives sustained, getting points on the board. And it's just nice to see that we can win in all 3 phases. When our offense in this Ravens game wasn't having the performance we were hoping, our defense just played dominant. And they absolutely held it down. And obviously, we know what the special teams can do with Money Chris Boswell and all the other big boom punts and all the coverages that we could have in the mix of there, man. I just think that can't go overlooked, is just we can win in all 3 phases of the ball game, and that's what a Super Bowl team needs to be able to do come down the stretch.
Tell you what, too. You remember last year during the Matt Canada era? Good Lord. But you remember when
I tried to erase that from the Men in Black erased from my memory.
Do you remember we had this streak that was going on where I can't remember what was the streak? It was like some amount of games, like 8 or 9 straight games with like under 200 yards of passing or total offense.
Probably total.
And then we played the Bengals and finally like
400
broke it or something.
Yeah,
at 400. It makes me think, like, even in a Steelers-Ravens game where I'm giving some grace to the offense, it's Steelers-Ravens. At first I was kind of pissed. I was like, this offense sucks. But then I started to realize this is Steelers-Ravens. You look at the last 10 matchups, they're all under 20. But my point is, even in a Steelers-Ravens game where the offense was terrible, we still generated like 300 and change in offense, which in the Kenny Pickett era
never would have happened.
Oh, we're going like 150, 190 at most.
Horrible.
And you look at a bad game by Najee these days. Like, I mean, Najee had his runs. Yeah, 69 yards, 70 yards. What did he finish with?
Let's take a peek here. I got the stat line pulled up. We're looking at the rushing attack. Najee Harris finished with 18 carries for 63 yards. Jalen Warren, 9 for 41. Justin Fields coming in clutch. We'll get to that down the road.
We'll talk about that, yeah. But my point is, the overarching point I'm trying to make is, even on like a Steelers-Ravens game where our offense like sputtered, it still wasn't worse than what it was like a year ago. So we're trending in the right direction. Let's just call it how it is, Pierce. We're a Super Bowl contender.
I mean, I think it's clear and obvious at this point. I'm just tired of hearing the media. I was listening to my media runs. It's Victory Monday here. We're celebrating as the evening rolls around. But I was listening to throughout the workday, some of just obviously all the media news outlets saying, oh, the Baltimore Ravens are a mess. They're in a bad position. But, like, I'm tired of hearing that because we were just preaching them as a Super Bowl contender. Yeah. Why is it always when the Steelers beat a good team, it always gets undermined with the other team having a mix-up or a bad performance or not being as good as they were praising and claiming them to be? Yeah. Because obviously everyone was saying Ravens best offense, best team in the NFL, and then we go and beat them, and now they're, oh, well, they got 4 losses, they're a mess. And then same thing was with the Commanders last week. I mean, I'm just kind of tired of it. But circling back, what you mentioned earlier, our offense, we can be hard critics on them. They got the victory. They were generating scoring drives, and they were generating owning the clock. I mean, this time of possession, I think, I don't have the exact numbers here, but I know that we were controlled at least 60% of the clock. I think it was even closer to 65% of the game clock. So we almost had the ball for a full quarter longer than they did, which, I mean, like you said, the Steelers-Ravens matchup, it's going to be time possession. It's going to be owning and winning the turnover battle, and then obviously having your defense come up and make timely plays, which is exactly what we did here.
It really is, man. I can't believe it. I mean, this was the. I mean, I know we go into each week like it was the Chargers week. This is our first real test, 2 undefeated teams. Then we went in the Commanders. We're going to learn a lot. But truly, Pierce, I left this game. I was thinking, holy crap, we can actually, like, we could do this thing, bro. Like, we can get a playoff win. I mean, you saw the Ravens. The Ravens, they stuck with the Chiefs. The Ravens blew out the Bills. I mean, those are our 2. If I'm looking at the NFL or the AFC hierarchy, those are the 2 teams I'm keeping my eye on. And I mean, we've fared well against Josh Allen in the matchups we had. I mean, we probably could have won last year's playoff game if we had some kind of offense.
Completely.
So I really don't think we're that far off. I think we're actually right there. I think and also I think it's a testament that Justin Fields went 4-2 with this team. Russell Wilson's currently undefeated. So really, this is a good football team. I mean, even despite if we're throwing in a quarterback 1 week, I mean, the team has still found ways to win. Now, I mean, I think we're going to see a playoff win in Pittsburgh, and I think we're going to see maybe a little bit more, but I think this was the week that we've officially declared ourselves as Super Bowl contenders. I mean, I think that's pretty fair to say.
I would say most definitely put the world on notice a little bit. Obviously, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the media doesn't fully ever want to give us our flowers. Granted, some people are saying that we're legitimate contenders, but I'm just so sick of hearing that anytime we can beat a good team, it's just never praise for the Steelers. It's always like excuses for X, Y, or Z. The Commanders, a la the Ravens, things of that sort. But, I mean, absolutely, we're able to go and handle business. I'm just going to go ahead, give a few key shout-outs. Obviously, we've already mentioned Patrick Queen. Hell of a game by him in his revenge game. And then Peyton Wilson with his AFC North debut coming out, making such a timely interception. We already touched on Najee, Jalen, the Russian game. We go down and we look at our receivers. I mean, can we go ahead and say that George Pickens is a top 5 wide receiver, top 3? I mean, if you look at receiving yards,
he's top 3.
He's number 3.
Yeah.
It's Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, George Pickens.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about seeing that guy happy. We were not seeing these smiles and this joy from him last season, nor even at the beginning of the season. But it seems like Russell Wilson really did something to unlock him. I mean, it seems like he's catching a moonball from him a game at this point.
Every single game.
But
I will say, wide receiver 2 position, we got to figure that out.
Where is Mike Williams? I mean, obviously he's out there snap to snap, but he's getting no targets, and I'm tired. Calvin, we're appreciative of your efforts. Van Jefferson, we're appreciative of your efforts. But there are these vertical down-the-seam passes. Why are we throwing to a guy that's 5'7", 5'8", when we have a guy that's 6'3", that could be lining up on the opposite side of George Pickens? He's been here for well over 2 weeks. You can't tell me he's still learning the playbook. At this point, he's a pro. He's been on 3 teams. You got to be able to kind of figure out some of these things, especially when the Chargers have passed and Jets are a little bit more intricate of offenses. You would think we'd be able to kind of transition him in more smoothly, but obviously
Calvin's got to come up with that catch on the sideline.
Right on his shoulder. Right on his shoulder.
I mean, we're in a tough spot. I mean, the one thing that keeps me from really feeling great to ecstatic, just we're over the moon, is that there's still a certain level of I don't know how to put it, like dynamic ability in the offense. Like, yes, we can control the clock. Yes, George Pickens is always there for the dynamic flair, so to speak. But there's just, at some point, there's got to be someone else that steps up. I mean, maybe it's Muth. Muth, I still don't think gets enough targets. I think
quiet this game.
Muth hasn't had enough targets for the last 2 seasons.
Absolutely
you throw
not.
that ball in his direction, he makes a play. But yeah, I don't know what Mike Williams is doing out there. It feels like anytime we plug him in on a play, he's there to run block. We didn't trade a 5th rounder for a dude to run block.
No, well, that's obviously what we had the Van Jefferson in there for, and obviously Darnell Washington, he's a big blocking guy, but he came up with some timely catches
right
in
there,
this one.
Because I'll be honest, I've been a tough critic on Russ. I didn't think he had his best game, but what I will say, that interception, I mean, while I don't agree with the throw, what the hell is Darnell Washington doing?
I'm right there with you. I
mean, all right. Everyone's saying, because from like a non-fan perspective, if you're watching that and you see that throw, it looked like a duck. Okay, just from like the first line.
Darnell's 6'8".
But then when you watch the replay, Russ he sees Darnell over 2 guys that are probably 6'1"
shorter than him.
He's 6'8", and he throws a catchable ball. I don't know what Darnell's doing. In my opinion, I thought that was probably because Russ had just taken like 2 or 3 sacks. I was begging Russ, give your playmakers a shot. He gave Darnell a shot. He
didn't even make a jumping effort.
Yeah, I think Russ is getting way too much flack on that throw.
I agree.
I thought he threw a catchable ball to probably the tallest and the biggest guy on the field. Granted, maybe he doesn't have a lot of like jumping height ability, but still 6'7" over 6'1" corners.
Or at least go to make a play to pass the flex so we could get off that 3rd down, go into the 4th down with 3 points. That would have completely changed the dynamic of the game because we give the ball right back to them, and obviously only up 3, I think, at that point.
Granted, it was a risky throw. I'm not like going to disagree with that. But at the same time, I think it should not solely be on Russ. I don't know what Darnell's doing there. I just got to put that out there because I got people hitting me up saying, like, we should go back to Fields because of throws like that. And I'm like, hold on. Like, I
agree.
love Fields. I love Fields. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to actually be too critical on Russ there. That was a catchable ball. Darnell, I just feel like, gotta make an effort on that play.
I agree, most definitely. Timely to see that one that he threw to him across the middle was just an absolute laser beam.
Yeah.
And you talk about a hands catch by a big old tight end that's unable to, obviously, you don't think that's in his repertoire, but he went out there, sticky hands, was able to grab it, pull it in, and continue to bring up. He had 2 catches for 42 yards. I mean, you talk about not using the middle of the field or not using those strength, obviously, as best as we were hoping. That's one thing. He took a few strikes across the middle. There was that other one where he tried to get a little dump-off shovel to him, and it got batted down at the line of scrimmage. But it is what it is. It's unfortunate that we couldn't have some better, bigger plays from some of our other playmakers like Muth, Pickens finding the end zone. But can you really complain about a win when you said it is Ravens-Steelers week? So that was a obviously great way to finish kind of the slate, and we saw the Bengals obviously take the L. I'm kind of at the position now in the season where I can kick them to the curb. I really don't think they're going to have any sort of life coming down this stretch. Obviously, the Bills took care of business, beating the Chiefs, which gets us in a little more contention. I mean, hell, if we're in the driver's seat and we can control our own destiny, if we beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day, we're sitting at that 1 spot.
I mean, it's a great day when the Ravens, the Browns, and the Bengals lose all on one Sunday. That's all you can ask for. What I do want to point out is, because I'm thinking about the dynamic ability in the offense. The one thing, so let's actually circle back to it because we hinted at it earlier, is those Justin Fields packages in the red zone. Because what I will say, whatever you think about Justin Fields, because I know we don't necessarily see eye to eye on everything, but what we can both agree on is his red zone efficiency was incredible.
I mean, you look at 5 rushing touchdowns within the red zone.
And plus he had some throwing touchdowns, and he just always had the triple threat of where he could hand it off to Warren or Najee, he could take it himself, he could throw, or he could pretend to throw and then go in for a run if everything was taken. Russ obviously doesn't have that mobility that he used to. But yeah, I think it's time to start throwing in some Fields packages in the red zone.
I agree. I mean, well, even obviously the red zone would be crucial, but the plays that he did come in, it was to pick up a mandatory must-need first down to obviously try to put the game on ice. Thankfully, unfortunately, he slid a little bit early, but truthfully, we kind of do need to figure that out. Like, when exactly is he giving himself up? Does the slide instigate as soon as he touches it's down, or is it whenever hands get on him after he slides? There's some intricacies with the rules that probably could get ironed out a little more efficiently, but for him to come in there, and then I think what an awesome play call. He picks up it was like a 2nd and 9. He gets us 8. We get right to the sticks. It's a 3rd down, do or die. Justin's in there. And obviously, everyone, you can see, I didn't see exactly what Baltimore Raven it was, but as soon as Justin got the snap, a guy had a great beat on the line and was going for Justin, but he handed it off to Najee, ran it up the gut, and if it was a quarterback keeper, we'd have lost like 3 or 4 on the play. But, I mean, the perfect just trickery-dickery that we needed to obviously get the first down, seal the game. I mean, I hope we see more packages with Justin, more specifically in the red zone, to your point, because, I mean, he's a threat with his legs. He can do it all. It's our Slash Stewart of this generation.
Yeah.
Anything else? One more thing, I guess. Obviously, I was biting my nails throughout the entirety of the game. It was a stressor, especially come the near end when Baltimore went in, got the touchdown. But can we give a quick shout-out to Mike Tomlin as well for calling that timeout on the 2-point conversion, giving us a chance to reset, because obviously it was looking like they had a look that we weren't comfortable with, and they could have gotten, obviously, the conversion forcing in overtime.
One more shout out. JPJ.
Bro,
he's the one that broke up that play.
Hell
and
of a play.
You know what JPJ said in his post-game, or Patrick Queen said in his post-game interview that hyped up the guys after that timeout before they ran on the play. They said JPJ went up to the entire defense and said, they are not scoring. Bend, don't break. We make a stop here. JPJ said that, and that's not a rookie, but a second-year player saying that to a bunch of vets. Unlike, I mean, you got guys like All-Pros, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, and you got a second-year player saying, we are not letting them score here.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
That is what gives me belief, Pierce. That's a Super Bowl caliber defense. Super Bowl caliber defense.
I mean,
I'm not afraid to say it.
and the depth runs deep. I'd argue best defense in the NFL. Granted, we've been shaky. JPJ has been shaky in weeks past, but when you need to come up and make a play,
He blew up that
he's
play.
there. Oh, he did. And Lamar, I mean, you saw he was running with the ball in his right hand, then the left hand, then inevitably just had to throw it up there. And when it was in the air, I was about to shit a brick, but I was like, thankfully, I saw it hit the ground, and the rest is history. Obviously, we took it over from there. Did they try the onside kick? I don't even
No, they
remember.
didn't.
No,
They decided to run.
That's another crazy thing. I mean,
You kind of weigh your options. You have 3 timeouts, and then you can get the ball back with about like a minute left, or you can give us a really short field, and basically, even if you get the stop, Boz will make a field goal to make. So I kind of get the understanding, but
still
we're on a short week though. We really gotta iron down the hatches. I mean, the guys had today off. Tomorrow's a practice, and then they'll have Wednesday off. It's just Wednesday's just a no pad walkthrough. I'm not sure. You never know with these divisional games because the highest of highs in the NFL, Pierce, the National Football League, just when you think you know a team. And I'm not saying that the Steelers are going to walk in and lay an egg, but I'm just saying temper your expectations. It's the National Football League.
As of Steelers seasons that we've grown accustomed to of the past, this one has trap game written all over it, unfortunately. Not saying that I full-heartedly believe that that's the case, but obviously close the door on the Baltimore Ravens, starting our thing at 1-0 in the division play. Have a chance to double down, make it 2-0 here, which would be a very favorable stretch, obviously, because we have, I don't want to say some layups, like you said, it's the NFL, no games are layups, but we have 3 very favorable matchups that we can take advantage and excel our record even further. We got the Browns here this Thursday night, then we go on the road again to Cincy, and then the Browns back at the crib. So these are 3 games that we can easily take 2 of the 3, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And it starts on Thursday. Short week, like you had mentioned, but it's a short week for the Browns, too. And after laying an egg and kind of a heartbeat, I mean, Jameis Winston threw for 9,000 yards, and they still took an L, fortunately for us. But obviously, don't think that they're too much of an issue. I think our defense is going to come hungry. The main thing, obviously, defense on the Cleveland side of the ball is still very good. They're going to give us some pressure with the O-line. But I think we got to just go in there, handle business. One last thing I'll say. Mason McCormick and Zach Frazier. Oh my Lord. They're just, we are starting to form something in the trenches. I wish I could say the same about Broderick Jones. But Mason McCormick and Zach Frazier are 2 guys that get used to seeing them in the black and gold because they're going to be decade-long guys here, decade-long Steelers. And just obviously, Russ was under duress a little bit, but I think their performance over the past few weeks has gone undershadowed and
Zach
underappreciated.
Frazier was the highest graded offensive lineman last week.
And he's a freshman, not a freshman, but a rookie.
Rookie,
But I mean, obviously, loving the play from him. Going into Cleveland, do you have any tips, tricks, any key players to watch, any predictions of the sort?
Not really. I mean, half the team's injured, half the team's been traded away because they're just. I mean, really. Sorry, Uncle Bob, you're Pierce's dad. It's a tough life, man. It's a tough life, Pierce. I mean, if
got the Cavaliers 15-0.
You do got the Cavs going. But I mean, I just looked at their schedule today. I mean, they're reeling. They've lost like 6 out of their last 7. I mean, theoretically, like I said, it's the National Football League, but this team truly has no excuses. I mean, they just gave up the 31 points to Taysom Hill, and they gave up. I mean, they're giving up a crap ton of points to some very subpar opponents. There really is no reason. What I will say is I don't get why Pittsburgh keeps on playing Cleveland on Thursday night away
This is like
games.
the 3rd or 4th year in a row that they've done it. The last one I can trail back was the Jorge Pekin one-handed catch.
Then the one with Mason Rudolph got his head taken off on one of them. but hey, I'll tell you what though, I can't remember one that we won. So
that's true.
Winning in Cleveland has been a little hard these past few years. So that's why I got this weird feeling in my stomach that this is just going to be a tough one to get out. But I still think that we win, maybe like a 10-point. I'll get what do you got score prediction? I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, I guess I haven't given it a full chance to fully think it through. If you have yours, you can rip it. If not, I can come to mine pretty.
I'll give you like a 27-17 type game. I think it's going to be pretty tight. Honestly, I could see it actually being closer. It's not that I don't trust this team. It's just, it's divisional play. There's no guarantees, especially in an away environment at night. You have one spark play by Cleveland, the crowd's into it, and then suddenly, suddenly the guys are playing with their hair on fire. So I'm gonna say 27. You know what? I'll give the Browns even more. I'll give them 20. Yeah, no, 27-17. I'll stick with it.
27-17.
First instinct's that.
I like that. I like 17 for Cleveland, but for some stretch, I mean, you obviously know defense played with their hair on fire last week. They're going to maybe come out a little softer in this game. That's just unfortunately how it goes. We saw it with the Colts, and if we afford to give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. And so I think they might be able to come out here swinging, score a little early first, maybe get a touchdown on the board. I'll go out on a limb and I'll say, no, Rock. We're gonna bounce back on offense. We're gonna get 3 touchdowns and a field goal. It's gonna be 24-20. I think they're gonna maybe get a few splashes, a couple of field goals here and there. But like you said, it is divisional football. It's not gonna be a 52-6 game or whatever the Lions are doing. It's gonna be a lot heavy hitting than that. But I'll lock that in.
Right over there,
oh, they're that's the team to beat, obviously. But thankfully, we don't got to see them until what would be the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So let's lock in. Anything else before this Browns recap you wanted to get into?
No, short week. I mean, I don't think there's any injuries. Were there?
Highsmith is still
Trice
out.
Probably will be playing.
Trice will be back. I thought he was supposed to be slated to come back this game, but obviously maybe not rushing back. We felt like obviously our depth was a little solidified with Jackson being back fully healthy and everything of that sort. So hopefully he can come back, help solidify the secondary as I mentioned earlier, and get after it. Highsmith, get healthy. We need you come. Probably the Eagles game is when we'll need you. So obviously if you need to take this Browns one, the Bengals, and then the following Browns one, we need you healthy because we're gonna need you for a deep playoff run.
Yeah.
So the vibes are up here, man. I mean, obviously sitting at 8-2 feels damn good. Let's go make it 9-3 or 9-2 on a short week.
Shit, don't
And,
be saying that, boy.
I ain't even trying to speak it. I ain't even trying to speak it, but obviously feels good. Steelers Nation, soak it up, but not for too long because we got the dog pound coming to take after us. Hopefully
on my boy's birthday.
Oh yeah, it'll be a little B-Day celebration. We're gonna have a projector in the backyard, kicking it, grilling out. So hopefully we don't do all that to drop and lay an egg, but I don't see that happening. Obviously, I was trying to think back. We say Tomlin lost here and there. The Colts one we can maybe pin as one, but truthfully, I mean, if they just get up early on that and we have a fighting shot to come back, can you really say it's a Tomlin game? So knock on wood, but I haven't really seen a Tomlin performance or a Tomlin game yet this season, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that those days are of old and we can kind of put that to rest with this championship caliber team we have. But anything else before we get out of here?
Let's get a dub on Thursday, man. 9-2 sounds a lot better than 8-2.
Oh, we absolutely need it. So let's start stacking the wins when it needs most. 5 in a row. Let's make it 6 in a row come Thursday. But Steelers Nation, hold it down, y'all. Get ready for this recap coming here. Probably Friday we'll have it out to you guys. But here we go, Steelers. Here we go.